Okay, welcome back to Inspired Creation. It's been a long time, probably at least a year, maybe a little longer than that since I made my last video. So I try not to be like nervous here, but the reason that I stopped making videos was kind of a couple of reasons. One was that I wasn't sure how much I should be talking about this stuff and revealing not only what I know, but myself, especially to the world here. Uh, but the truth of it is, I think people will gravitate to it or they won't. People will watch it or they won't. People will believe it or they won't. And that's all going to depend on who they are. Uh, Also, I had to go through what is called my dark night phase. Uh, and I really needed to complete that. In that, brought a lot more understanding of things and more like aha moments where I really figured things out and what they really mean and what they are. Uh, and so now knowing what I know about the Dark Knight phase, it definitely wasn't the time to talk. I could feel it now that I'm done with that. Uh, Occasionally there's a little back and forth here, but what is it? Everything is two steps forward, one step back, two steps forward. But basically, I'm free now, and I understand a whole lot. So I think I can start sharing again for anybody who's actually interested and really wants to take the time to listen. Uh, so sometimes, uh, the truth of it is there's those who can see and those who can be shown and those who just can't see. Um, and in that, like, don't be offended. We've all got to go through our growth, okay? Um, and I believe now that even those who can't see, one day they will be able to see. All right, one day they will be able to be shown. One day they will understand. And I don't take offense to anything, even when like, I realized time in my life that I was kind of half asleep there and didn't understand and sleep, period, right? Uh, it's just kind of the way of it. We all got to go through our growth. We're here in this dimension to learn and grow. And the truth of it is, you're not allowed to go to the next dimension until you do. And knowing something and living in it is two different things. Okay. So you have to show and prove, right? So you're gonna have to live what you know, and which is called being the change. You need to be the change that you want to see in the world. All right. So while we're stuck in a lot of things that we just can't see it, and even when people try to tell us, we can't be shown it, right? So everybody probably is all three of these, just at different points in their life. And if you never get it in your life, guess what? This is what reincarnation is. You're going to be coming back. Reincarnation is totally real. And I always knew that. And even though when I was younger, I didn't know anything about reincarnation. All right, but I always had a feeling that it was real and that it existed, and now I know it to be true. Okay, this place is kind of a fuckery. Almost everything here is backwards and upside down, but also right, it can become right side up for you too. So this place truly is, like I said before in a different video. Heaven and hell is not a place you go after you die. It's right here on this earth in this dimension. This is the truth of it. All right. And when you die, you never really die. All right. NERD. Nobody ever really dies. Our souls, our consciousness is who we truly are and what we truly are. Okay. Our bodies, our shells. It's like a hermit crab. You go from one to the other, right? Okay. But uh, we are pieces and parts of God at our total level, which is your spirit, your soul. Um, it is your consciousness, okay? And your consciousness has to grow. And you're going to have to be able to, like I said, show and prove that not only you've learned and understood, but also that you embody and you live it, okay? Otherwise, it's just another actions speak louder than words. Talking really means nothing. What you say can be lies, etc., right? And you can't lie to God, the real God, the true universal God, okay? Because uh, God is within, all right? This is going to be a difficult video to make because there's so much knowledge and stuff, and everything is connected and everything leads to each other. All right, so just bear with me. This is probably going to be a long video, and I'll try not to break down every piece and part of what I'm trying to say. You know, I'll do that in different videos. I'll make a video explaining this and a video explaining that, and etc. We'll try to go from there. But while I'm talking about this, I am going to have to explain some things, or you might think I'm nuts unless you could see it already. And if you could see it already, then you probably don't need me, right? And this is one of the things, right? And this is why you never call another man father unless he truly is your father, okay? Because, you know, so this is one of the messed up things about a lot of some religions and like Catholic Church and stuff, okay? And don't get me wrong, I'm not saying religion and church are bad. Anything that gets you closer to God and closer to truth is good. But the fact of the matter is, religions have been used by people who have the knowledge, and they use it with poor integrity, okay, to control people, all right? If you've ever heard the saying, I'm sure you have in life, where someone says, you know, I'd rather rule in hell than to serve in heaven, okay? That this is what big groups and religions and governments and things often do, okay? And not everybody's evil. You know, things aren't always how they seem, okay? So don't get offended by everything all the time. It truly is part of the test, because you have to see the illusion of duality and how to get beyond it, all right? And I've explained that before in my illusion of duality video. I probably could explain it a lot better, but that'll get you somewhere. I got people texting me. Okay, it doesn't matter. So where to start here? First of all, I feel like my Dark Knight phase is over, because I know what it is to be whole now, and I am whole now, okay? Don't get me wrong, I still have growth to do. I still have showing and proving to do. This is part of it, to be honest with you. All right, so don't start to feel like, oh, he thinks he's some king shit or something. No, absolutely not. I just understand things, and I can see how we all really need this stuff explained to us. And not all the videos you see out here and people talking about this stuff really fully get it. Not everybody who's awake or calls himself awake is really awake. But a lot of people are in this partial area where they're seeing a lot of things and understanding a lot of things, but then you get the messed up. And if you don't learn about a lot of the teachings, if you haven't had to download and can see things for yourself and etc. and think for yourself, what'll happen is you'll fall for a lot of the pitfalls. And there's so many pitfalls in spirituality, it's crazy. And this is how people will get twisted up and use things with poor integrity, which really feed the system instead of allowing you to escape this place, which is the ultimate goal. All right, don't get me wrong, a big part of me wants to live and feel and enjoy some of this heaven on earth as well, okay? And I do believe that that's possible, but that comes as part of your showing and proving, right? The truth of it is, all things are possible through the grace of God, okay? The true God, right? And if you're living backwards and upside down, what'll happen is just like the Bible said, right? Okay, because the Bible is truth mixed with fiction to mess you up, and so are all the books from all the other religions too, all right? And on top of that, if you start studying a lot of them, you find out they're all talking about the same things, just in their perspective from their group, right? And then things are twisted from the people who are controlling them, okay? But there is a lot of truth and a lot of real knowledge in the Bible, right? And other religions' books as well. It's just like I said, the problem is people with poor integrity have been in control of things. You know, there's been mass book burnings, and they've slaughtered people who could see for themselves. They call them witches and all kind of stuff. And don't get me wrong, I know there's good and bad in that too, right? Okay, but honestly, they have tried to crush spiritualism for as long as time has existed, all right, because this place is this place. All right, I'm gonna try to be confident here and explain a few things. And if you can see, you'll see things that I'm talking about. And if you can be shown, you will at least listen and think about them and start to understand as time goes on. Okay. But we have to unlock parts of our brain here and our heart. Okay. Because if you don't know, like, your brain is like, it's the best, fastest, it's the best computer processor there is. You think about it like that. It's like the same thing as a computer processor, only ours is made by God and computers are made by man. All right. In that, we do have receivers where we can take in things, knowledge, even things that you can't see and may not understand. Okay, you can channel in energy, both positive and negative. Everything you can do is neutral, and it can go either way. It depends on you, how you use it, what you see, if you're falling for pitfalls at the moment or not. It really matters on what you truly have in your heart. Okay, your heart is a much greater antenna, really, right? Okay, everything pulsates out from your heart, all right, but also from your mind, your pineal gland, right, your frontal lobes. Okay, it is very, very possible to bring in information and put it out. If you don't believe me just on my word, I would say start to look into some of the greatest minds and figures over the course of history, period. You know, Einstein, Tesla, Da Vinci, Plato, like so many people, right? Pythagorean, whatever his name is, right? There's so many. Like, these are the most revered people in every single facet of life that there is, and whatever piece they were grabbing onto and then used it and became famous because they obviously had a knowledge that most people didn't, right? The reason for this is because you can learn how to use this stuff and send and receive messages, knowledge, wisdom, the understanding of pretty much everything. All right. So before, like, I try to get too much into that, there's something I want to explain, right? Which is really simple. Like, okay, when you're a child, right, and your soul first comes here into this body, right, it's very, very innocent. Okay, it hasn't been programmed by this place yet and by people, and doing the things like backwards and upside down, right? And we do this. Okay, the true, like, as above so below concept continues. It's as above so below, or as below so above, and as without so within, and as within so without, right? Okay, this is truly how everything works and how we work, right? So the real truth of it is, the as above so below and as within so without is the truth. Okay, but since this place is backwards and upside down and messed up, right, a lot of times, our teachers, our parents, the people we rely on when we're children, right, and the way that they understand things and have been taught things, and etc., right, is exactly like I'm saying, backwards and upside down, like this place is. So their understanding is backward and upside down, or somewhere in between, depending on how far they've grown, etc. And so they really, like, have no choice but to mess us up a little bit. They teach us wrong. They give us wrong impressions, wrong understandings. Also, the outside world does, which the outside world has more of an effect on you because your parents are usually taken away by everything, work and stress, and trying to please themselves, and etc., right? And school has you for so many hours a day, and etc., like, then the TV has you, and all this type of stuff, right? So we get messed up. And if you don't know, like, music and television are very hypnotic. Okay, they're used to put you into a hypnotic state. all right, which speaks to, sure, while you're watching and paying attention, your consciousness, but then you think as well. Your consciousness thinks, okay? And so if you see something that you're not against, or that you're against it, you're not really with it or whatever, right? Or you don't understand, okay? And, but it's still entertained you. You still watch it, you still listen to it, you still whatever, right? Um, and often this will really mess you up because these seem like very successful people who can have whatever they want and etc. The reason for that is they're they're supplying the system. Okay, so and this is the system rewards people for basically sucking in new souls, right? So we get very very messed up, and we do the backwards, which is we suck everything from without within. Okay, and it makes us very self-conscious and scared, fearful, etc. It makes us not want to try or do things or be who we truly are, and etc. Right? And this kind of messes you up, uh, and it's just the way of it. It's just how it is. You can't really get offended by it, especially if you're an adult now and you're growing and you're learning about things, right? You can't get offended by this stuff. You just have to understand them and get past it, okay? A thing to, sure, we all want entertainment, at least sometimes, we just want some downtime to relax. I'm not saying don't listen to music and don't watch movies and etc., right? But what you can't do is internalize it, which is very difficult, especially if you're not conscious of what's happening. And what is happening is you get put into this hypnotic state where your subconscious takes in things, okay? And your subconscious runs your life far more than your conscious life does. And this is why we do things even when we know better, because your subconscious is telling your body and you what to do. You can learn how to break out of these things. I've explained like the trichotomy of stuff before, okay? So you can watch that video, or maybe I'll talk about it later. I don't want to ramble like forever, but I do want to say, if this is the first time you are coming across what I just told you about consciousness, right? Something you can picture is like, okay, so picture this is water, right? And there's an iceberg, right? And this tip of the iceberg pointing out, no matter how big it is, okay, or small or whatever, you picture this is your conscious mind, right? But below the water, the part that you can't see is always much bigger. It's way big. It's huge by comparison to this, even if this is huge, right? Okay. And so, therefore, whatever is getting into your subconscious mind is running you in your life far more than you ever knew and understood or are in actually control of. And this is why it's really, really hard to break habits, okay? People make New Year's resolutions and stuff all the time because they know they're doing things that they don't want to do that are having negative effects on them. Overeating, smoking, doing drugs, drinking, etc., whatever, like all type of stuff, procrastinating, being lazy, right? And what happens? Your conscious mind tries to do it for a little bit, but if you don't break into the trichotomy and do something to actually change what's in your subconscious, it never works and it never will work. So you have to be able to do this. I can make another video sometime trying to explain that a little better and like how to do it. But it really is the truth of it, okay? And TV and radio does hypnotize you. Why do you think all these companies spend ridiculous money placing all these ads and stuff all the time? Even though, like, we know McDonald's exists, we know Pepsi is here, we know this is that we know. You don't need to spend millions of dollars on a Super Bowl commercial for us to know again. Well, they're trying to get sleeping people and get you into your subconscious mind, so that therefore, right, they're reinforcing that you want this product, you want to do this, you have to have it, etc. That's why they continue to do this. All right. Anybody who learns about marketing and the tactics of marketing, right, like, if you're a good person, you're going to have to realize right away that they're trying to subliminally get into people and force them to do something whether they want to do it or not, right? They try to trick you in a lot of different ways. Something I really want to point out, like in the beginning, okay, like children's games often sometimes are really good if you think about them and pay attention to them, all right? That there's so many, and the reason is because of like twofold. One, sometimes children's games come from children who are innocent and whatever. They just see the world how they see it instead of how it's being projected to them. Okay, and so if a child makes up this game, it probably makes more sense than a lot of other things, right? The other reason is there's good people on this place too who want to teach people stuff and show people stuff, and that the truth is all hidden right in plain sight. And it's it's so amazing. When I woke up to that, at first I was a little offended by it and etc. And like, why don't you just give it to people instead of, well, you can't. You just can't. It's just not the way it works, and I can explain that to you later too. But what is very obvious is that it's hidden in plain sight. It's all over the place because truly, a lot of people do want people to wake up. A lot of people do want people to live better and experience more of a heaven on earth, right? And be one of God's children, okay? All things are possible through the grace of God. And if you're trying to do it on your own, right, you think you know better than God really is the ultimate of that, okay? Then guess what? You will have to scratch and scrape and slave away and do all these things to try and make it happen. And even when things start to fall into place for you because you're doing all these things, everything else will just fall apart, right? It never works. It just never does. Which is truly how I hit my wall. I didn't hit my wall from being an alcoholic or doing drugs or having a near-death experience or anything like this. I hit my wall from trying so fucking hard in so many different ways, only to realize no matter what, I couldn't win. I would just lose here. I would just lose there. I would lose in all these different places. And then it broke me, and I had a conversation with God. And shortly after that, things started to happen in my life, all right? You can watch some of my other videos and see some of my things about meditation and stuff and whatever. And maybe, honestly, I can do a better job of explaining a lot of that. But for the moment, it is what it is. So, like, talking about a children's game, like, that's something that I want everybody to pay attention to, okay? Um, if you look at something as simple as the connect the dots, okay? Connect the dots, I don't know who created that, all right? But I do know what was in their mind, okay? Connect the dots is trying to show you something, okay? The connect the dots will have all these random, seemingly haphazard dots on a page, right? And the goal is to connect them, and not just connect them randomly, but to connect them in a certain order to get the full picture that the creator was trying to give to you, the viewer, right? Okay, so they put numbers on them because it's a kid's game and they want you to get the full picture, right? But how this works out here isn't like this. All right, you're not going to get the numbers of everything in order to learn to where you're going to succeed and become who you truly are and what you're truly meant to be and do here. Okay, it's not going to work like that. But this game is so synonymous with life. All right, so if you just went to the dots and just connected them randomly or made things that you already see in your mind, right? Well, sure, you can connect these dots in whatever order you want and make different shapes and stars and things and whatever, okay? And sure, it's a picture, right? You got something, right? But is it the right picture? Is it the picture that the creator intended you to get and to receive? No, absolutely not. The only way you get the full picture that the creator intended you to receive is if you connect each one of these dots in order, and then you see the full picture, right? Okay, life is incredibly like this game, all right? You have to pay attention to the world and what's going on in it. You have to pay attention to yourself and how you think and what you do. You have to pay attention to other people, the people around you, what they do, how they think, what happens, right? Because it's all a bunch of dots. And your task in becoming, first of all, you have to discover that this maze is even here, all right? Then you need to become the seeker. And in becoming the seeker, okay, you're going to start to connect the dots, right? Now, you're not going to connect them all in order like you need to at first, okay? It's going to take a long time, okay? The great work is exactly that, the great work. It takes time and effort, energy, okay? It's stressful. You got to walk the path, and which is truly, this is another part from the Bible, right? We are truly walking through the valley of the shadow of death here, all right? Why? Where everybody is almost always in fear of death, but you can never really die. Okay? What you are, your consciousness, your soul does not die. Only your hermit crab shell here can die, all right? But just like Mario, boop, boop, you can have another life, all right? And you will, you do. The goal is to not have your life in this same dimension, which is a shitty copy of the real place, okay? It's just like okay, men here have learned how to create other dimensions. They do it in video games, okay? And the people who create those things, they understand a lot of stuff, all right? Whether they understand everything or not, I don't know, but I do know that they understand a lot of stuff just by paying attention, okay? First of all, a cube is a prison, okay? And I'm not going to get into explaining that all right now, but this is what it is, all right? The concept of a cube is a prison. And I'll give you another little thing real quick to try and show you that. And this is the whole reason why the saying, think outside of the box, is a saying to begin with, all right? So some of you may remember this. I'm going to draw real quick. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, there's 9 dots here on this page, all right? And there's 9 because everything is numbers 1 through 9. Learn numerology, okay? Numbers mean things and do things, and it's going to seem like magic. Why? Because this is a false reality and etc. And it's programmed. It's the way it works, all right? Let's get back to this. Can't explain everything in one video, all right? So if you've ever seen this before, or this has been presented to you in school or somewhere, right? They're trying to test your consciousness, okay? They want to see where you're at. Usually the only way people get the answer to this is because they've been shown it before, especially when you're a teenager or something, okay? Now, what they'll say is connect all 9 of these dots using only 4 lines, right? And most people can't do it to save their soul. They just can't. All right, they can't figure it out. The reason you can't figure it out is because your consciousness is trapped in the prison, in the cube. Your consciousness only lets you think inside the box. And if you do 4 lines staying inside the box, you will never connect all 9 dots. It doesn't work. The only way you can connect all 9 of these dots with 4 lines without picking your pencil up off the paper is to think what? Outside the box. You have to think outside of the cube, outside of normal people's perception. All right. And so what you do, if I can do this backwards, is this is very doable. You just go 1. See, I already went outside the box. I'm already not thinking in the cube. 2, outside the box again. 3, 4, done. Connected all 9 dots. But what did you have to do? You had to think outside of the realm of what this is. Okay. I know that's not a new test or anything for some of you out here. I'm sure a lot of people have seen this before. I'm sure also a lot of people haven't. My point is how it works, right? You got to pay attention. Okay, how it works is what's important. You have to think outside of the prison, the cube that you're stuck in, all right? So, well, where do we go from here? Everything links together, so let me try to explain something else to you, okay? Because I notice a lot of people get this messed up, and yet I know a lot of people understand this, and then whether they go further with it or not, I really don't know. It depends on the person, right? So the first thing I'll draw, and this has a little relevance to some of the stuff I've been talking about in this video already. So the first thing I'll draw is the 5-pointed star. Okay. All right. The 5-pointed star, okay, it kind of represents a man, a person, a being, okay? But it's a trapped one. It's an imprisoned person, all right? It's not whole, that's for sure, okay? And I'll also do this the other way, okay? Now, you turn this upside down, right? And this is a trapped person so this is a trapped person, right? Arm, leg, head, right? Arm, head, arm, leg, arm, head, right? This is the acronym for like Allah and stuff, depending on where you start, okay? All right, but it's an entrapped person. Okay, and if they are upright, okay, then they are spiraling up to who they're supposed to be. Okay, if they are downward, and people will also link this to the devil or the Baphomet, right? A horn, like a goated chin, etc. Right? Okay, people will say this. If you've ever seen, everybody has, at least in TVs and movies. Okay, if you've ever seen the five-pointed star inverted upside down, right, is used for like satanic rituals and things of this nature. Okay, the reason is because you are already trapped mentally. Okay, and then when you do things, you can be shown things that work in both ways. Okay. Now, first of all, also there's 5 points here because it represents your 5 senses. Okay. Sight, smell, taste, touch, hearing. Okay. 5 senses. And when you're asleep and being taken advantage of and imprisoned and bringing out what's within, well, you will believe that you only have 5 senses. Okay, so this is an imprisoned person, whether you're spiraling up or down, it doesn't matter. But if you're spiraling up, you're going to come closer, you're going to come into the truth. And if you are spiraling down, right, you are going to be doing devilish, demonic things. Even if you don't believe you are, you're going to be getting further away from God, further away from the truth, and therefore more imprisoned. Bad things are going to happen to and around you, etc. Nothing you do will really succeed. If you are dabbling in like magic and shit like this, right? Guess what? Magic is real and it exists, but it's a neutral thing that exists both ways. All right. Magic can also be just little party games, illusions, and bullshit that can be explained away, but there's other stuff that's considered paranormal and things of this nature, right? Okay, those things are real and do exist, and they exist both ways. Either way, if this is you, a 5 senses individual who believes that this is all there is to you, okay, you recognize already your mind is trapped, all right, and you actually do need what I'm telling you about. If you are this same person, but you are spiraling down and you only want to use things in negative ways, selfish ways for your own cause, then turn off my video. I don't want to talk to you, okay? Get yourself upright and then I'll start talking to you, okay? Sorry to be negative, but that's the truth of it. And also the truth of it is, okay, that if you think, okay, this is the part of the illusion of duality. There's one side and the other side, okay? Hot, cold, good, evil, this, that, whatever you want to say, it's an illusion, okay? Never being fully on one side or the other is ever going to get you to the best answer, the conclusion, the right way of thinking, etc. It's never going to happen. Okay, we want to be in the middle, center, and balanced. Okay, that is where you will find the truth of everything. Okay, everything. I can do a different video talking about that. In fact, I already have. I know I could do a better one. All right, but it is the truth of everything. So this is one of the pitfalls that people fall for a lot when they come to spirituality and stuff, okay, is that they'll say, well, no more negative in my life. I'm only going to be positive no matter what. I'm only going to be positive, right? Okay, well, this is also a failure, okay? If you are only positive all the time, you will become a doormat and you will let people who are negative run you over all the goddamn time, okay? It happens. I did it to myself, just trying to be a good person, putting myself down at times and try to do the right things for other people and help people and stuff and whatever. And it's not to say that those things are bad. Those things are good. That is part of exemplifying who you are and knowing the knowledge, right? But there is such a thing as righteous anger, okay? Because sometimes we need to fight. Sometimes we have to fight for what's right. Sometimes you can't let people that are all negative or do have the knowledge but use it with poor integrity, taking advantage of people. You can't just let them run amok, can you? If you do, you will be dominated and taken over. You will not be sovereign and whole. You will not be the true piece of God that you are, okay? It's impossible to grow like that too. You just find yourself in a different hell where you are now the doormat. All right. Also, that brings me to another thing. Okay, the cross, right? All right. This is truly what the cross means, and it took for me to go through this and receive the knowledge to even understand. Okay. Why do you think in religions people do this, like Father, Son, Holy Spirit, Amen? Okay, I break that down for you right now, because I never got it until I woke up and started to see for myself. Okay, the truth is because everything is in three: mind, body, and spirit. Okay, mental, physical, emotional. All right, everything is in three. Okay. And so this is showing you the truth, whether they explain it to you or not. They're showing you the truth, which is oftentimes how deceptions work. They give you a part of the truth and then they mess it up for you, okay? And one way religion does that is to separate you from God, okay? Which is a total fuckery. God is within us, and I'll get there in a second. All right? So the Father, Son, Holy Spirit thing is ultimately really this: mind, body, and soul coming together as one, okay, to be whole, right? Now, the reason why soul has two parts, okay, this is going to take you to things I'm sure you've seen, especially in cartoons when you were a kid, where there was an angel on one side and the devil on the other, and one's whispering to you this and one's whispering to you that. This literally happens in our consciousness all the time because we have the ability to be like this devil or be like this God, okay, and your choices are going to be what makes it, okay? And the truth, the correct answer all the time is the compromise in the center, okay? Being centered and balanced, right? So they're showing you this even in what they do. Father, Son, Holy Spirit, amen, right? It's mind, body, and soul, both sides. This is an illusion of duality, right? Coming together as one. Where are your hands now? Centered. Right? Okay? Now, amen. Right? That's what that means. I never knew that until I woke up and could see it for my damn self. Nobody has ever explained that to me at all. All right. So now that I've shown you the 5-point star, okay, this is a trapped person, all right, in either way. But at least this one is trying to spiral up. It's trying to be a good person. It's trying to do the right things. And this is the problem with like morals, okay? Morals are bullshit because morals teach you to do things or else God's going to get you or some shit like this, right? Or else bad things are going to happen to you, etc., right? And there's a partial truth in that and a partial lie in that, okay? Either way, it messes you up without you even knowing it. It disguises itself as something good when it's really messed up, okay? What you really want to have is integrity, okay? And there's another word that's similar to morals that I can't think of right now, and I'm not going to sit here taking 5 minutes to think of it. I'm sure somebody watching knows it right off the top of their head. Okay, morals are not what you want. You want integrity. And this is to do the right thing because it's the right thing. You do the right thing when nobody's looking. You exactly what I just said. You do the right thing because it's the right thing. And that's what will cause you to spiral up. You have to continue doing this and make peace with it, even when people who are spiraling down will mess you up, okay? Because, look, when you're trapped in this, and you are living in the backwards and upside down, okay? And in the backwards and upside down, what happens? Opposites attract, all right? This can be proven in many, many ways. Sure, everything is, but it isn't, right? And a lot of the ways that you get it at first is the wrong way that messes you up. And so one of the first ways is this notion that opposites attract. Sure, that can be shown to you in many ways, especially when you're young and you think you're learning about love and what it means and etc., right? Most of the time what comes in that is nonsense. Opposites attract. a good person with a good head on their shoulders who's trying hard, how many times have you seen this ends up with a complete shithead who's just using them, whether male or female, and I can break that down in a whole nother video. One is taking advantage of and using the other. One is lying to the other. One is cheating on the other. One is doing, we do this all the time. Men do this, women do this, we do this, okay? And also you'll see things like, magnets. If you flip one around, like, they'll attract, right? Okay, well, that's just one part of physics. Okay, there's a whole nother. Now, what happens when these opposites attract? We'll just leave it with people because it's nice and obvious and I don't have to take a year explaining it, right? There's always a explosion. The relationship doesn't work. If they got married, they're going to get divorced. If they're living together, whatever, the relationship always fails. Always fails. How many people do you see actually with the first person that they ever got with? Hardly any. It's really incredibly rare, and that is one thing that the religion really gets right, is that you shouldn't be having sex and having these type of adult relationships with people until you're ready for it. And until you're old enough, right? And being 18 really doesn't make that happen. It's your consciousness that needs to grow. Before that, all you'll create is explosions. The good thing out of it is that if you're paying attention and you're trying to grow, you'll learn from these experiences, okay? The bad thing is that how many mistakes will you make that are going to follow you through life that you take to now this new relationship that one day you will find, okay, which is actually a good relationship for you. Right? Sometimes that's really disappointing, okay? When those people hook up, they often have a lot of baggage, okay? A lot of things that make their life harder and more difficult than it actually should be. But it's you gotta learn to accept it, right? Real love is unconditional love, right? And all things are possible through the grace of God. So if both of these people grew, they can overcome any of these obstacles, all right? So to get to the truth of it is, and once you do grow, you'll start to see how, forget opposites attracting. I don't live in the backwards and upside down anymore. The same likeness attracts the same likeness, okay? And if you want to take it to a saying that everybody knows, right, it's like, and a lot of sayings are sayings for a reason. All right, they'll say birds of a feather flock together, right? Okay, it's very, very true. The reason for this is, if you're whole and good with who you are and yourself, right, then you will seek out people who are like you, people who do the things you do, like to do the things you like to do, treat people the way that you want to be treated, etc. Right? You will gravitate to people who are like you instead of opposite of you, drive you crazy, mess your life up. All right. Also, what happens is, like, sometimes, like, somebody will be interjected into a group, okay? This happens a lot when you don't know who you are. You're a good person at heart. You try really hard for everybody and yourself and etc. and whatever, but you may not want to be like a social outcast or feel alone, right? All right, and so you will gravitate to groups who are doing the wrong things, thinking wrong, and etc., right? And this will almost always fail, because you're trying to disguise yourself as one of these people, okay? And what's going to happen over time, even though our opposites are attracting right now, okay? They're either attracted to you for a reason, which is usually a fucked up reason, or you're attracted to them because you don't want to feel lonely and alone and you feel like outcast from people, right? Now, what happens in either case is that either you're lying to yourself, you're not being real to yourself, and etc., and so you're trying to be like these people to fit in their group, or they're lying and etc. because they want to take advantage of you. All right, one of the two is happening. All right, and so only one of two things can happen during this, is that either the lie becomes the truth. You, who are faking to be like this group, you're going to start to act like they act, talk like they talk, do what they do, and etc. until you get the results they get, and now you are one of them. Birds of a feather flock together. Or you will be so strong and conscious and aware of what they're doing that their things really won't work. And if it doesn't work, they're going to leave you. But if you can show them something that they're interested in or care about, or that is better than their way, then they're going to start to be like you, right? So either way, what's going to happen? Is it going to blow apart and you're not going to be with these people, or you're going to stay together and one of the melds is going to happen? Either you're going to be shitty like they're shitty, or they're going to be better like you're better. It's the way of things. It has to happen. It's more the truth than this opposites attract thing, right? So, they do attract, but they attract for growth. And sometimes the growth will be negative and sometimes it'll be positive, but it really just depends on you. It depends on you, right? Which is the way of everything here. Everything is, but it isn't. All right. And things work one way when you're living backward and upside down, and they work a whole nother way when you're living right side up. Okay. The thing about being right side up and spiraling up, okay, is that you're spiraling up, you're aspiring to be like God, like the true dimension, like who you really are inside, okay? That's what it means to spiral up. Spiraling down will be like the person joining that group and becoming like them, okay? Either way, this is a trapped person who only believes in the five senses, and they only believe in what they can see. Seeing is believing, and things of that nature, right? Okay, there's another backward and upside down teaching. Sure, seeing is believing. If I see this pen and I can write with it and whatever, I believe it's a pen and whatever, okay? Sure, seeing is believing, but it's only a part of the piece, okay? Imagine what we wouldn't have, okay, if we only believed in things we saw, all right? There's so many things in the spectrum that you cannot see that totally exist, and this is so easily provable if you just think for 1 second. What is gravity? Gravity keeps us down on the ground, okay? What goes up must come down eventually, right? You can't see gravity, can you? You can't see air, but you breathe it. You can't see radio waves, but you use them. You can't see microwaves, but you use it. You can't see so many things, and especially if you're stuck in the five senses, okay? And this is what technology brings. It's a lie. Technology often brings us things that you would see in your sixth senses if we were living correctly, okay? So to go beyond that, then now you come into, and some people are going to try to reject this or whatever, and eventually you'll get it, okay? Now what you come into is the 6-pointed star, okay? Jewish people use this. They call it the Star of David, etc., whatever, okay? And this is because on some level they've been shown some more truth, okay? Now, there's 6 points here because the reality is you have 6 senses, not 5. Your intuition counts. Your intuition is a sense. You do have it. You can use it. You can develop it, okay? And it actually can lead you into more things that start becoming considered like psychic or telepathic and etc., things of this nature, okay? If you haven't noticed in your life, we are connected to other people in this world and planet. Most often it'll happen and you'll notice it even if you're stuck in five senses knowledge. You'll still notice occasionally that you can tell when something's wrong with someone who's close to you, even if you're split apart by difference or by space and time, like my son went to a different state, and whatever. He's been there for 6 weeks, and all of a sudden I can feel that something's wrong, something bad happened, or etc. Right? Okay, this it's because we have a connection. All right, and we were so close, even in our five senses, that my intuition can feel that. All right. Also, like if you've ever had, like, you're thinking about somebody or talking about somebody or something, and you say something like, oh, I should call this person or something, all of a sudden this person calls you, okay? It's because you're connected, and really telepathically while you're speaking this, you're also sending that signal out to them, and they picked up on it. They had a thought that said the same thing. I should call them. So not everybody maybe has experienced these types of things, but they do happen to people every day, all the time, all over the place, all right? And it's trying to show you something, if you're paying attention, that we have 6 senses, not 5, all right? Now, a place that you see this a lot is Freemasonry, okay? because they are very aware. Not all of them. They kind of go through stages and levels, which is just different understanding and perspectives of the teachings, because that's how everything on this place works. Everything is, but it isn't, and what really matters is your level of perspective. And as you get higher and higher, you see more like God's true perspective on things. Okay. And so they'll use the compass and square, and they put the G in the middle. Okay. Now I know that is backwards on my recording here or whatever, but it doesn't matter. All right, it's a G. And the reason that they put that there, okay, if you ask people, they'll give you different responses, and that's because some people don't know, some people don't understand and can't see, some people are just going to lie to you because you're not one of their insiders and they don't want to tell you the truth, okay? But they use the compass and square and the G inside because it's a symbol showing their knowledge, okay? The knowledge is that you have 6 senses, not 5, and God is not separate and outside of you. God is inside you. God is in here, okay? And one way that you can liken this is your conscious. Always let your conscious be your guide, right? Why? Because God is inside you, and it wants you to grow. It wants you to learn. It wants you to understand. It wants you to be more like it, okay? When you think of God, this is the best way to think of God that there is, okay? Because it's a as above, so below concept, okay? When we have children, right, we are their closest thing to God, okay? We are their creators. We did an act and used our biology to create their physical body, okay? Their soul truly was sent in here from somewhere else. We didn't create that, okay? And that's their part and piece of God. All right, so they're a combination really of both their parents and God becoming one physical thing. Okay, so the parents truly are their closest thing to God that they can touch and feel and talk to and listen to. All right, especially before they develop. Right, in that, a loving parent will raise the child the best that they can. Okay. A loving parent will protect the child the best that they can, etc., whatever. And the way that, and then don't mess this up because not every parent is a loving parent. Okay, people are very messed up from a lot of things. Whether a lot of things really aren't everybody's fault. Okay, but if you don't attempt to grow and try and do the better things, then a lot of things are your fault. Okay, it just is what it is, and where your consciousness is at the moment. And all bad things happen for a reason, and the reason is it's the only way that things can continue to grow and change. If we get very comfortable with things, especially if everything's good and we're happy all the time and everything, and if everything were always like that, no change would ever come. So this is the ultimate understanding of why bad things happen, is because growth needs to happen. All right, and because a lot of things that you see in your perspective as bad and negative, from a higher perspective, aren't really all that bad and negative. You just have to wait for it. You have to wait for the good to come out of it. And sometimes that may even take another lifetime or generations, okay? So the way that you think of God is like a loving parent, okay? A loving parent is not separate from you. They're there, they're around, and the things that are in them make you up, including the DNA, okay? Including who they are and what they are, right? A loving parent will always want to help you and teach you and things, right? And it wants you to love it back, okay? But you can't force people to love you back. You absolutely can't. God is the same way. God can't force you to believe in God. God can't force you to love it back. You have to learn, grow, and understand on your own that what God is, who you are, how you relate, and what's going on, okay? Because just like a loving parent, sometimes you have to let go, okay? God will turn his back on you, just like sometimes a parent has to turn their back on their child. It all depends. And if you don't see what I'm saying, I'll explain it to you. If you have a child who is like a really bad alcoholic or has a really heavy, horrible drug addiction or etc., right? Okay. uh, you will think in your mind, okay, intuitively, right, that you need to do everything you can to help this person, you help your child, right? Try and keep them off drugs. Try and get them to think more correctly and do more correctly and live more correctly and etc. Because you know that ultimately, if they do those things, good things will happen and they'll be better, they'll be happier, they won't feel the need to do these drugs and do this shit, right? Which is destroying them, it's spiraling them down. Okay. The sad part is people are very hard-headed, okay, and they're already stuck in the mind concept that they're already in. All right. And so this is why a lot of times why rehabs and stuff doesn't work. Okay, it's only part of the step. You have to take them out of the situations that they're doing this stuff in, take them out of the environment that they're doing this stuff in. But it's only part of the equation. If that's all you do, and then you send them back, then well, most likely they're gonna start doing this stuff again. Okay, so. But we're not even there yet. The loving parent will just try and help because they don't want you to do the horrible things that are going to lead you to be homeless or commit suicide or be killed by other people or end up in prison, etc. Right? So the loving parent will try to do everything because they don't want to see the bad things to happen. Problem is, you just became the enabler because you're not changing the things that are in their mind that are causing them to do this. Okay, and now since you're helping so much and providing so much and trying so much, they now are able to continue doing this and continue doing this and continue doing this instead of hitting their wall faster. If they were out on their own, they'd hit their wall much faster because quickly they'd be out of money, they'd be doing the wrong things, etc., whatever. Okay, and in that, some of the bad stuff may or may not happen depending on how hard-headed they are and how long it takes them to hit their wall. Okay, so they might end up in prison, they might actually die, etc. They might just get a clue. Eventually, what happens if people don't die? They start to get a clue. They wake up, or they continue to live their life like this until they die. Right? Either way, you being the loving parent, i.e., like God, okay, you have to learn that you have to walk away. You have to let them go because you're just being an enabler and you're prolonging this. It's gonna keep going and keep going, and they're gonna keep doing the wrong things until they definitely end up in prison or definitely end up dead. Okay. And ultimately, if you let go, they're gonna hit their wall faster. Hopefully, they're gonna grow, even if it takes having an experience, etc. Or just deciding that they can't live like this anymore, having the realization that they can't do this to themselves anymore, okay? And then they'll start to grow from there. So the more you try and help them is actually the more you hinder them. Everything's a catch-22. Everything is, but it isn't. So the answer is actually a little counterintuitive. You got to walk away and let them do their thing, right? Be around to be a loving person. Be around to talk to them if they want to. They're going to have to come to you. Anything you try and give them, they're just going to reject, okay? Which is also why people can't teach you what I'm trying to teach you right now unless you're ready for it. If you're not ready for it, you're just going to reject it. You're going to say, I'm full of shit. I don't know what I'm talking about. You might try to make fun. You might just walk away and not listen to the videos, etc. If you're ready for it, you're one of the people who can be shown, right? There's three different people. Those who can see, those who can be shown, and those who just can't see. So like the drug addict, alcoholic just can't see, okay? The drug addict or alcoholic who's finally hit their wall and knows that they have to make a change, those people can be shown, okay? And who can show them but someone who can see, or flat out God. They have to have experiences, okay? So the point of that was, this is how you think of God. God does not want you to fear, do you ever want your child to fear you? No. Ultimately, sometimes we use that as a tactic to try to get through to them, but it doesn't really work, and that's not what you want, okay? You want your child to love you, believe in you, do as you do, right? And so this is why parents, you can't tell your kids, don't do what I do what I say. Well, that's never going to work. It's honestly, no matter how bad you want it to, it's never going to work. It's not. And they will be getting the wrong things out of that. They won't be getting what you're trying to get them, So the Freemasons use this. A lot of places, a lot of people use this. They understand that you have 6 senses with God inside you. Okay, you are not separated from God. You actually are God. Not the God. You are little g, not big G, okay? But your soul is a piece of God, which is inside you, okay? And it helps to guide you, but you have to be able to hear it. You have to be able to listen. You have to be able to see, okay? You have to at least be able to be shown, all right? So ultimately, God is not outside of you. This is one messed up place that religions really give a lot. They separate you from God, which is an automatic fuckery that your subconscious knows is a fuckery, and it messes up your conscious mind and the way you think. All right.